Greetings animal lovers, and welcome to the channel. Before starting with the video, please note that no copyright infringement is intended and I do not own nor claim to own any right for the footage and photos you will see. This video aims to analyze the famous account of a medium-sized tiger named Ochkarik who killed a huge male brown bear named Chlamid. The account was confirmed by the legendary biologist Alexander Batalov. So before we delve into the report, let's look at who Alexander Batalov is and why he is one of the greatest Siberian tiger experts of all time. Alexander Batalov is the founder and director of the 200-kilometer-square Derminskoye Forest Reserve, which is located 100 kilometers from the city of Khabarovsk in the basin of the river Dermin, and protects a large swathe of prime Siberian tiger habitat. Batalov works tirelessly as director, researcher, and protective warden over some of the last remaining habitats of the Siberian tigers. For more than 35 years he and his dedicated rangers have worked very hard, with the result being that Derminskoye now has a healthy number of tigers. Alexander dedicated his whole life to the conservation of the Siberian or Amur tiger, and overall he has a deep and infectious passion for wildlife. Aged 5, he recalls spying on a family of cranes. I hid myself in the pond so only my eyes and nose were above the water. But the cranes got angry and attacked me. While his fieldcraft skills have improved immeasurably in the intervening years, his enthusiasm remained undimmed. Batalov studied ecology at the State University in Irkutsk, Siberia, and has published over 40 scientific studies on topics ranging from tiger behavior to sustainable forestry. Alongside his scientific work, Alexander has written a series of books and newspaper columns aimed at increasing awareness of the need for tiger conservation. He has been featured in several documentaries, including Gordon Buchanan's Tamba the Russian Tiger on Animal Planet. Let's see a clip from that documentary. Batalov is one of the founding members of the project Trees for Tigers. The idea for Trees for Tigers began at Batalov's conservation base camp, and it is the following: being at the top of the food chain, tigers can basically take care of themselves provided they have food, which is primarily boar and secondarily deer. So, to protect tigers, trees are needed, and not any trees but specifically, the Mongolian oak, the Manchurian walnut, the Korean pine and the Siberian cedar. Batalov runs Russia Tiger Tracking, Russia's first eco-lodge dedicated to tiger tracking, and he was recently named Natural World Hero by the Natural World Safaris. This award highlights the commitment to safeguarding habitats, wildlife and the communities among them. During that occasion, Batalov said that the tigers in the Ussuri woods are an eternal symbol, equal in importance as the polar bear in the Arctic or penguin in Antarctica that should live there forever. Batalov offers tourists the opportunity to set and collect camera traps, which is a vital method of monitoring the Siberian tigers left in the wild, offering the tourists a chance to participate in truly frontline conservation. Overall, it is safe to say that no one knows more about Siberian tigers, or has done more to protect them, than Alexander. In 2017, Batalov won the national competition Camera Trap 2017, thanks to his footage, Brown Bear at the Mailbox, in which an adult male brown bear leaves its marks at the so-called tiger mailbox, that is a tree with the help of which the tigers aka the striped owners of the tiger exchange information. Please note the date of the footage, August 2015. The footage impressed the public, as the brown bear dared to leave a mark on a tiger's tree. However, in an article published in 2017 in Zvezda Primeria magazine, Batalov explains that such things can happen in August, because that is mating period and large male brown bears become very aggressive, so the tigers simply avoid unnecessary conflicts, knowing well that bears will come down after the mating period. Let's read: like all forest animals, during the summer months tigers suffer from blood-sucking insects. When horseflies press them too hard, they are most active on forest edges in the daytime heat. Tigers hide in the darkened thicket and stay there until dusk. During twilight hours and at night, the predators move around and hunt different animals, if there is a chance. In rainy and wet weather, tigers can be equally active at any time of the day. The tiger's marking activity decreases in the summer, and their mailboxes, such as notable trees and rocks, often become objects of marking of large brown bear males. It is also the time of bear weddings. Adult male bears, being in an aggressive mood, claim ownership of the area they occupy. Tigers try not to have any conflicts with such bears, and prefer to simply avoid them. They compromise, obviously knowing from experience that after a while the bears will calm down and scatter themselves around the area, and then they will again be able to walk along their routes without worrying, updating the visual and fragrant marks on their marking objects so as to be able to communicate with their kind. In the same article, Batalov also makes an important remark on tigers' predation during summer. In the summer, the tiger has a wider range of food. In addition to ungulates, its diet begins to include badgers, raccoon dogs as well as bears. At the same time, the predation threat on ungulates decreases. This is due to the fact that, with the advent of broods, adult female deer and wild boar become secretive and stay within a limited area. Badgers and bears, on the contrary, have an active lifestyle, especially during twilight hours and by night. Noisily moving in the forest in search of food or mating partners, they become easy prey for tigers too. Adult male tigers, depending on how hungry and self-confident they are, can attack almost any animal. Clearly only large male brown bears would be relatively safe from tigers' predation during summer, because as we have just seen they are particularly aggressive and tigers would rather find an easier prey. However, there was a huge male brown bear named Chlamid who crossed too many red lines, and left no choice but for the tiger Ochkarik to kill him. Before getting into the account, I would like to show you another nice footage that Batalov recorded in 2021. In this footage a brown bear was frightened out of its den and Batalov explained that he ran away from his lair, and he could not find the second one yet. Most likely, he was disturbed by a young tiger. Bears usually hibernate before snow falls to make them harder to find. But this bear is not a wanderer. They are usually hungry, and this well-fed one has already managed to stock up for the winter. So, according to Batalov, even a young tiger is able to scare a larger brown bear. Keep in mind that brown bears are not able to build their dens high up the trees, like the black bears do, and so they are more vulnerable to tigers' attacks, which would explain why overall brown bears are rare guests in Derminskoye. According to Batalov, they prefer not to enter the tiger's habitats, because otherwise it is difficult to avoid conflicts with striped animals. Sometimes they may come in at dusk or at night to reconnoiter the situation, but prefer to live in other areas. There are tigers who specialize in killing bears, usually in the snow-free periods when bears are more available, but some tigers like Ochkarik specialize in bears even in winter. In this footage, we see the majestic tiger Ochkarik in 2016, at his prime, delimiting his territory in one of his favorite trees in the forests of Khabarovsk. This photo, captured by some lucky tourists in January 2017, also shows Ochkarik when he was in his prime. Note that here Ochkarik looks a little bit inflated, probably after eating a boar, a deer or a bear. Indeed, it is normal for a tiger to gain some weight after eating. In this news from 2017, Batalov talks about Ochkarik killing bears. Let us read. The director of the Derminskoye forest hunting farm, Alexander Batalov. He is in charge of 2 model plots, caught on the lands of the Dermin River Basin and Mateysky Reserve. In this territory of the Amur tiger, which also includes the basins of the Uba and Kia rivers, planned monitoring of a single group of predators living in the Khabarovsk and Primorski territories is carried out. Observation is carried out in accordance with the state contract concluded between the farm and the Ministry of Natural Resources of the Khabarovsk territory. So, as you can see, Batalov monitors not only the Khabarovsk region, but also Primorski territories. The task of such observation is not only to monitor the tiger population, but also to understand what is happening to it and why. Hunting biologists, rangers, experienced hunters, and even students of the hunting faculty from the Irkutsk Agricultural Academy participate in the work. They move along the registration routes on off-road vehicles and snowmobiles, and where this equipment passes, they go on foot. And what do you want? The total number of routes is up to 45, the length of which is more than 630 kilometers. Monitoring is year-round. But once every 10 years, all information is carefully detailed, summarized, and analyzed. First of all, we take into account the time of appearance of the traces and their remoteness from each other, says Alexander Batalov. When identifying individual animals, carefully inspect the places where they meet, take into account the direction of movement of predators and the degree of their settlement. At the same time, special attention is paid to the state of the food base, changes in the habitat, and much more. For example, the study of tiger excrement is considered quite normal. Thus, in 24 gifts left by predators on the model site core from the beginning of October to mid-December 2016, in 13 were found the remains of wild boars, in 8, red deer and roe deer, in 3, bears. Another fact that well illustrates the density of the tiger population. As is known, there is an evolutionarily substantiated antagonism in nature. Where there is a tiger, there is no wolf. Each of them has its own ecological niche. And if a striped predator leaves a certain area, a grey one appears on it. Of course, it happens that scout wolves are brought to us by accident. Alexander Sergeyevich grins. But you can see from the tracks with what fear they run past the mailboxes where the tigers leave information about themselves. Wolves have all their instincts extinguished, they sneak, there is no time to hunt, they would like to stay alive. There are key places where tigers necessarily appear, trails, the so-called mailboxes, says Alexander Batalov. Mailbox is a marking tree on the aisles, the border of the plot of this particular tiger or its family. The predator leaves claw marks on it, rubs against it, and leaves odorous marks. When you study this beast for years, you begin to think like it. And you think, I would make a mailbox here. Batalov is not just looking for places where, most likely, the vigilant equipment will automatically turn on when the predator moves, but he also creatively approaches this moment, planning the captured background and entourage, building the composition of the picture or video. At the same time, he considers himself an amateur photographer. The fact that last year his art photographs were recognized as the best at the all-Russian competition Camera Trap, to which 1,800 pictures were sent, is a direct confirmation of this. Experts also give many tigers nicknames based on their distinctive features, which the animals, of course, do not know about. Some are named after the names of rivers, Kia or Uber, for example, and the tigress Rachel received a nickname in honor of a foreign tourist. Very often Glasses, Ochkarik, enters this territory. He has a characteristic pattern of glasses on his tail. This is the only tiger in the area that is not afraid to cross the bridge over the river. Bespectacled is one of those cunning people who, making visual marks on a tree, they speak of the age and power of the owner, climb a higher tree to embarrass other tigers with his letter. What plots he gave me! Batalov shows the photographs he took. He ate a bear. Do you see how fat he is? His stomach is open. And in this picture, the tiger is angry and thin. He did not get anything. And here, look, in the video, how beautiful in the rays of the early sun rubbing against the mailbox, leaving a letter. Isn't he an artist? And what an acrobat! As you may have guessed, the Russian translation of Ochkarik is glasses, and that nickname was given to him because of his peculiar stripes patters. Those were the golden years of Ochkarik, who found a girlfriend, the tigress Rachel, with whom he started a family. Ochkarik and Rachel had 4 cubs together. In this footage, we see a comparison between Ochkarik and his massive 2-year-old son, Tobik. Soon, however, things became more complicated. A huge male brown bear showed up inside Ochkarik's territory and started stealing food from the tigress Rachel. Here in this photo taken by Batalov's camera traps, we can see the tigress Rachel, and 30 minutes later the camera trap caught the huge male Ussuri brown bear Chlamid following her. Batalov reported the events in several newspapers. Let us read. This news is from the major newspaper of Khabarovsk region, Khabarovsk Cry Today, the latest news from the entire region 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The date the article was published is the 27th of October, 2017. A maniac bear chases a tigress in the Khabarovsk territory. An overweight male takes food from a mother of many children. For a month, a huge brown bear leaves a tigress with 2 cubs without prey, who live on the territory of the forest hunting farm in the Lozo district. The fact of persecution is confirmed by the footage of a camera trap installed by a wildlife biologist, director of the Derminskoye forest hunting farm Alexander Batalov, on a tiger trail near the base. One of the pictures shows a tigress, and 30 minutes later, a bear came into view of the trap and followed her trail. I have been watching this tigress for several years. Her name is Rachel, Alexander Sergeyevich told the correspondent of the Khabarovsk Territory Today news agency. Last year, she brought 4 cubs. Despite the fact that her children have grown up, and 2 of them already live on their own, the caring mother still helps to feed the other 2. They do not go far from Rachel and come running at the first call. But the bear does not allow the tigress to eat his prey, and she does not enter into an argument with him, because it is much smaller. The bear, knowing that Rachel is a good hunter with tiger cubs, follows her and waits for her to crush someone. And when he sees food, he drives it away. Most recently, I selected a red deer, Batalov specified. Moreover, the bear does not eat fresh meat, it buries it in the ground, survives for a while without going far, and then eats it. Usually, situations when a tiger and a bear meet on the same trail and are at war with each other occur due to a lack of food resources. Large brown bears in the fall must gain enough weight to hibernate, so they sometimes begin to behave like predators, that is, they hunt weakened, sick ungulates, or take food from real predators. Brown bears can also chase white-breasted bears that have managed to accumulate fat before winter. Carefully, stealthily, they track down the victim, and when the white-breasted bear wanders into the thickets of bushes, next to which there are no large trees, and the white-breasted one, unlike the brown bear, climbs trees well, in a lightning jump attacks the victim. However, during this season, there is enough food in the forest for all animals. This can be seen in the bear. It seems that the man is just used to an easy life on the shoulders of a mother of many children. Hunters of the farm can help the tigress get rid of the freeloader. Hunting is allowed from October. But so far they have not succeeded. They will try to track the club-footed pursuer when snow falls. Needless to say, that if any hunter would have managed to caught Chlamid, Batalov would have been the first one to be informed. If hunters would have killed or chased out the bear, Batalov would have certainly known, as he is the director of the Derminskoy Forest, Hunting Farm, and Hunting Enterprise. The second news is also dated 2017, and here Batalov provides more details. Let's read The Tigress Rachel and the Bear Chlamid. A small intriguing story from the forests near the city of Khabarovsk. A bear, who regularly took prey from a tigress in the Lozo region of the Khabarovsk territory, lagged behind it for reasons that were not quite clear. A huge brown bear with maniacal perseverance selected the prey from a tigress named Rochelle with 2 cubs that live in the territory of a forestry hunting farm, Lozo. The fact of persecution is confirmed by the footage of the photo trap set by the hunting biologist, the director of the Derminskoy Forestry Enterprise, Alexander Batalov, on a tiger trail near the base. Typically, situations where the tiger and the bear are at loggerheads are due to a shortage of fodder resources. However, in this season, fodder in the forest is enough for all animals. This can be seen in the bear, which ate to incredible proportions. It seems that he was just used to an easy life on the shoulders of a tigress. Some time ago, she growled in a special way in the tiger. As far as we understand, she complained about the bear to the tiger Ochkarik who walks nearby. He is the father of Rochelle's children. We recorded several times that they meet regularly. And at the moment the bear, we gave him the nickname of Chlamid, because he is incredibly huge, moved away from her, and does not pursue him, said Alexander Batalov, the director of the Derminskoy Forestry Enterprise. Although in the area Lozo has a lot of snow, neither the white-breasted bears nor the brown ones are still in hibernation. According to the hunter, they can stay awake for long if there is enough food in the forest. Employees are watching the further development of the situation.
Please note the words of Batalov, the ones between quotation mark. She growled in a special way. As far as we understand, she complained about the bear to the tiger Ochkarik, and at the moment the bear moved away from her, and does not pursue him. Since Batalov has 50 years' experience of hunting and exploring the Russian forests, we must accept his statement that the tigress Rachel growled in a special way, in order to complain about Chlamid to the tiger Ochkarik. Moreover, the camera traps provided evidence that as soon as Ochkarik showed up to protect Rachel, the bear Chlamid stopped stealing her food. Remember that Chlamid was described as a maniac bear, used to an easy life, on the shoulders of the tigress, knowing very well that Rachel could not afford injuries as she was still taking care of her cubs. So, this is a strong evidence that even large adult male brown bears are afraid of adult male tigers. Indeed, when Ochkarik, a bear specialist, appeared and came to help Rachel, at that exact moment, the huge male brown bear Chlamid stopped robbing the tigress kills. Anyway, as the article states, Batalov and all his employees were watching the further development of the situation. In the meantime, paying tourists kept coming to Derminskoy Forestry Hunting Farm. Here we got the 2 weeks travel diary from some tourists dated December 2017. These tourists managed to see only one brown bear on the 5th of December, and that was not Chlamid. So Batalov rather avoided telling them about Chlamid. However, they spotted the tigress Rachel, and with that occasion Batalov told them some details about Rachel cubs. Let's read. This afternoon Allison was met at the airport by Olga and Alexander, and after a brief stop at the supermarket they left for the forest. This is a commonly used tiger trail, and several adult tigers use the area for scent marking. Continuing down the trail we found the carcass of a Siberian roe deer. It was nearly completely eaten, with just the hide and bones left. Sergei was brilliant at explaining where the tiger had approached from, the chase, where and when the deer was grabbed and killed, the drag marks showing where the tiger had moved the deer before settling to eat. Today we also saw several large nests in the trees either side of the trail, and even one in the middle of the camp, and very close to a cabin at the back of the base camp. These nests were made by Asiatic black bears, in the summer as they sleep in the trees as well as climb the trees to feed on tender leaves and buds at the top. This is a strange behavior for the Asiatic black bear, and the reason they spend so much time in the trees is the presence of tigers that are predators of the bears. Around 1 kilometer away from the base a large male, most likely one that Alexander has called Ochkarik, which means geek in Russia, as there is a marking on the base of his tail that looks like a pair of glasses. The tracks showed him coming out of the forest, crossing the road, scent marking, and then walking down the road briefly, scent marking again, and then disappearing into the forest again. This was the same tree hole, hibernation den, that Alexander has a video of Ochkarik climbing up to have a look inside, as he is one of the tigers that specializes in killing and eating hibernating bears. We would be shown this video at some point in the coming days. Some tigers, such as Ochkarik, have learnt that bears are easy to kill and good to eat, with such HGH fat supplies, during their hibernation. In this area the amount of Asiatic black bear nests in the trees are very high, and there is one particular tree, which is hollowed out and the usual hibernation spot for a bear during. The Asiatic black bears like to hibernate inside hollow trees, and can squeeze into surprisingly small spaces, whilst the brown bears prefer caves and holes further up the hills and slopes. The black bears are also heavily predated upon by tigers, and tigers often check the hibernating trees for sleeping bears. Several of the more well-known hibernating trees can be found to have tiger scratch marks on the outside where tigers have attempted to get into the tree. We visited to scent marking trees along the stream and collected a couple of camera traps. We also found tiger tracks from the last 24 hours. They belonged to Ochkarik. He had been very active in this area the last couple of days. In the Russian Far East there are two such tribes left in existence, the Nanai and the Udeg. The Udeg are more numerous. We visited their museum in a nearby building. The museum is made up of two sections. First, the outdoors section, which contains traditional style buildings, store huts and a shrine. The little shrine was complete with an idol to the forest god Amba. A little further along we found tracks of a second tiger. This now looked like it was the female Rochelle with her subadult male cub. She had had a litter of 4 cubs, and they were all at dispersal age now. Alexander has not found any evidence of the other cubs for a while, and is unsure if they have survived and have just dispersed, or if they have died. Only this male has hanging around with her now. Then a little further along we found tracks of a male tiger as well. This would almost certainly be the male who fathered the cub, as there is no aggression here, and the 3 tigers spent some time together, or it is at least a male who admitted with Rochelle, and the cub could have been his. So, as you can see, some questions remained unanswered in December 2017. What happened to Rachel's cubs? And above all, what happened to Chlamid? Perhaps Chlamid felt that he had overdone it with the tigress Rachel, and out of fear of Ochkarik, he decided to go into hiding for a while. But Chlamid was a huge bear, who liked to eat meat and steal the prey of other predators, so sooner or later he would have left his mark. And Batalov, a master at tracking bears and tigers, was waiting for it. With patience and dedication, Batalov investigated further. After a span of 3 lengthy years, on July the 29th, 2020, coinciding with Tiger's Day, Batalov made a public appearance on the Khabarovsk television channel, where he shared a thrilling announcement. Let us take a moment to listen to it.
Это проект «Смотри, Хабаровск», в студии Дмитрий Павленко. Сегодня 29 июля, Международный день тигра. С одной стороны, это радостный повод поговорить о дикой кошке, повод для гордости за то, что именно на территории нашего Хабаровского края живет такой уникальный зверь. Но вместе с тем, это и повод обратить внимание на те проблемы, которые угрожают сохранности амурского тигра. Золотодобытчики разрабатывают месторождение в одном из крупнейших ареалов обитания амурских тигров рядом с поселком Дурмин. Как это может повлиять на краснокнижное животное, обсудим сегодня с директором Дурминского охотничьего хозяйства Александром Баталовым. Александр Сергеевич, здравствуйте.
У нас тут тигрица Рошель, такая у нее кличка. Она потеряла 2 тигров, потому что медведь замучил ее, бурый.
Ну, это хотя бы естественно, то есть это природа, это
абсолютно,
сами.
Да, он ее просто преследовал с целью отобрать поживу. Ну и в итоге где-то и пропали 2 тигренка. Но пришедший самец, вот этот знаменитый наш Очкарик, который, он все-таки избавил от этой беды. Скорее всего, он его ликвидировал, этого медведя. То есть вот такие взаимоотношения, которые происходят.
According to Batalov, it is highly probable that Ochkarik killed Chlamid as an act of revenge for the robbery of Rachel. However, one must question the basis upon which Batalov made this assertion in 2020. First of all, it is important to recognize that it is entirely within the realm of possibility for a tiger to act out of revenge. Batalov himself conveyed to journalist Sophie Roberts that tigers are intelligent creatures, capable of premeditated revenge. Furthermore, esteemed journalist John Vaillant has documented instances of tigers retaliating against hunters. Vaillant, who traveled to the Russian Far East and conducted interviews with leading experts on tigers and bears, noted in his book, Tigers, A True Story of Vengeance and Survival, that, based on the information he gathered, tigers are vicious, vindictive and vengeful beasts, and will even kill bears solely on principle. Subsequently, 5 months after his initial statement, on January 2, 2021, Batalov was interviewed by Podolznaya Elena, a chemistry and biology educator and head of the Ekolazo Association in the Lazo district. During this interview, Batalov began to reveal some of the evidence that led him to the conclusion that Ochkarik was responsible for Chlamid's death. Once Glasses crushed a huge brown bear that followed Rachel's tracks and took prey from her, and there was nothing to feed the cubs. 2 tiger cubs died, apparently from this beetroot. But then Glasses came, and the siege of his girlfriend ended. The bespectacled boy devoured him, and became thick, see photo, which frightened us with his size. But then again he lost weight, and became a slender, normal animal. Regrettably, the article fails to include a photograph of Ochkarik after consuming Chlamid, which resulted in significant bloating. In the course of the interview, it was noted that Ochkarik's swelling was so pronounced that it astonished even Batalov, a seasoned biologist. Batalov has extensive experience weighing various bears and tigers throughout his career, and has observed numerous instances of tigers gaining weight post-feeding. However, Ochkarik's condition was exceptionally unusual, providing compelling evidence that the bear he consumed must have been extraordinarily large. On February 11, 2021, Batalov participated in another interview, this time conducted by journalist Elena Zagorskaya. Let us read. Once Glasses crushed a very large brown bear, only heels remained after the fight. As the French say, Churches la femme. Glasses took revenge on the beast for taking the prey from his girlfriend, the tigress Rochelle, and leaving her cubs hungry, as a result of which 2 of them died. Once again, Batalov affirms that Chlamid was responsible for the deaths of 2 of Rachel's cubs. More importantly, he reveals a new detail. He has found the heels of Chlamid. On February 22, 2021, Batalov participated in another interview, this time with journalist Sofia Koronever, during which he unveiled yet another crucial piece of evidence he had uncovered. Let us delve into this information. Alexander Sergeyevich Batalov is the director of the forestry and hunting farm, where we are now. Batalov has been drawn to the forest since childhood spent in an Altai village. He recalls that he followed adult hunters, like a dog. While studying at the Irkutsk Agricultural Institute, as a game biologist, Batalov, having read R.C. Neves, Dersu Uzala, chose the Primorsky territory for practice. He recalls that for 10 years, he studied large predators, mainly brown bears, and their impact on other animals on his site in Primory. During this time, he got more than 40 individuals. When asked how the study of bears and hunting them were combined, he answers, "It was scientific material. I measured the volume of stomachs, measured skulls." He even learned to weigh. Alexander Sergeyevich continued to move up the career ladder. He headed the Far Eastern branch of the All-Russian Research Institute of Hunting and for Farming in Khabarovsk, then became deputy director for scientific work in the Bolshevik State Nature Reserve. After becoming the director, Batalov first of all closed hunting for several years so that the population of red deer, wild boars, roe deer and sables could recover. At the same time, he created rest zones and reproduction sites in the hunting grounds, where animals are not hunted to this day. The hunting expert does not sell permits for shooting Himalayan bears at all, considering hunting for these rare animals barbaric. Batalov does not like it when journalists write that so many tigers live on his territory, because tigers are territorial animals. Each individual has its own hunting areas. 30-40 square kilometers is enough for the female, and the male needs up to 150. They can intersect at the borders. Tigers are usually tolerant of tigresses in their territories, and other males are chased away. Since 2012, Batalov has been monitoring tigers at Kor and neighboring sites. He attracts rangers and hunting experts for work, because the task is not easy. According to the methodology, you need to go through 45 routes with a total length of 630 kilometers. Once identified by the first researchers, and count the number of animals on them by tracks. They usually move out 5 days after the snow, so that the predators have time to inherit, and try to act as quickly as possible in order to be in time for the next snowfall. For accuracy, Measurements are taken in December, and then in February. You can distinguish one tiger from another by the size of its heel on the front paw, by the direction and freshness of the tracks. There are difficult situations, when tigers with approximately the same size are grouped in the same area. Then Batalov brings camera traps there, interviews local hunters, goes separately for each suspicious trail, conducts tracking. It also helps that the hunting guide monitors his lands all year round. He regularly reviews recordings from camera traps, which he installs in places where predators cross, measures all traces found in the hunting farm. The most famous and long-lived tiger here is the reserved and delicate glasses. The pattern of stripes at the base of its tail forms a shape similar to glasses. The predator is 12 years old. By tiger standards, he is a long liver. Batalov says about glasses, a male confident in the future. He is able to stand up for territory. He can always get meat for himself. Batalov's recent luck is that he was able to set up a camera trap right in his lair while the tiger was away, and shoot an 11-hour video of how Glasses sleeps and spends time. I know how much he slept on his right side, on his left, how much he slept upside down. It's 160-180 kilograms fiddling. Here, Batalov does not hide his pride. Glasses once killed and ate a brown bear that was chasing the tigress Rachel with a tiger cub. After that, he was so inflated that Batalov could not understand what had happened at first. But then he found bear meat in the tiger's excrement. In summary, Batalov was taken aback by the abnormal size of Ochkarik. However, he later found a lot of brown bear meat in Ochrik's feces. The reason Batalov did not present all his evidence in a single interview may be attributed to the journalist's lack of interest in writing an article focused on this particular account. Consequently, we needed to compile the evidence from various interviews. These pieces of evidence, in conjunction with the disappearance of the Chlamid, led Batalov to infer that Chlamid had been killed by Ochkarik in an act of revenge. Needless to say that the revelation of Ochrik's role in Chlamid's death sent shockwaves through the animal enthusiast community, who discussed the matter extensively on animal forums for several months. Subsequently, users from these forums attempted to reach out to Batalov. At first they reached out to Miss Olga, Batalov's assistant, the English-speaking coordinator of Khabarovsk. Here we can see the email address of Miss Olga, and users were quick to double-check and ask the Amur Tiger Center for confirmation about this email address as well. As you can see, it is exactly the same that appears in this screenshot. Hi Mike, I read my message. There was some unclear point, so I repeat the amended version of it. I spoke with Alexander and he asked me to answer to your question. He is very busy now with his report on the tiger monitoring. He says that it must be true that Ochkarik killed and ate chlamydia. Alexander didn't see or find the killed bear that was constantly following Ochkarik and ate his killed animals. But Alexander saw brown bear fur, etc. in Ochkarik droppings, and the tiger suddenly becomes very fat. Besides, chlamydia disappeared after. So Alexander has no doubts about that. The email in question is dated March the 31st, 2021, and contains some intriguing comments made by Batalov's assistant. Specifically, she claimed that Chlamid was stealing from Ochkarik and that Batalov had not located any remains of Chlamid. These claims may represent a misunderstanding of Batalov's statements by Olga, who may not have been fully informed about the account, and likely did not prioritize her responses to random internet users. Indeed, evidence from camera trap footage and Batalov's earlier interview indicates that Chlamid was never observed stealing from Ochkarik. Furthermore, in a prior interview, Batalov mentioned to journalist Elena Zagorskaya that he had discovered the heels of Chlamid, but we cannot totally exclude that journalist Zagorskaya included this detail for narrative enhancement. Regardless, Batalov's inability to locate any significant remains of Chlamid could be attributed to the passage of time. He may have taken too long to search, and Ochkarik was not the sole consumer of the carcass. It is well documented that Siberian tigers often share their kills with family members. Therefore, it is prudent to approach Olga's statements with skepticism. Nonetheless, the significance of Olga's email lies in her communication of Batalov's definitive response to inquiries regarding the credibility of this account. In conclusion, Olga asserts that Batalov firmly believed Ochkarik was responsible for Chlamid's death, a statement that is difficult to misinterpret. After some pressing, some users eventually managed to get Batalov's personal email address as well. The second email is from Batalov himself, and it is dated April the 13th, 2021. Dear Mr. Batalov, are you saying that the killing of a brown bear by the male tiger Glasses is true? Health and happiness. Yes, it's true. Attaching a photo of Tiger Ochkarik. Last year he was the main tiger of Russia. So, Batalov is firmly convinced that Ochkarik was the one who killed Chlamid. The large brown bear, Chlamid, has disappeared entirely, not only from the Khabarovsk region but also from surrounding areas. Batalov has been monitoring the Vladivostok region and has maintained communication with local experts and hunters. Thus, if Chlamid had been sighted, Batalov would have been promptly informed. Furthermore, shortly following Chlamid's disappearance, Batalov observed that Ochkarik exhibited an unusual degree of bloating, and for several consecutive days, Ochkarik began to excrete brown bear meat. This strongly suggests that Ochkarik had indeed consumed a substantial brown bear. As a leading authority on tigers and bears, Batalov is adept at differentiating between brown bear fur and that of moose or wild boar found in tiger feces. Additionally, his camera traps failed to capture any other large brown bears that could have been preyed upon by Ochkarik. It is noteworthy that Batalov took 3 years before publicly declaring that Chlamid had been killed by Ochkarik. Given that he only discovered the heels of a bear, he likely sought to exercise caution and hoped for Chlamid's potential return. However, no tracks of Chlamid were found during the subsequent 3 winters and summers. By 2021, Batalov had reached a definitive conclusion. The large brown bear consumed by Ochkarik was indeed Chlamid. Consequently, he began sharing this narrative, even in educational settings. In 2021, Ochkarik's sudden disappearance prompted speculation about the tiger's potential death. However, the tiger was sighted again in 2022. It seems that experts have solved the mystery of the return of an Amur tiger named Glasses, who went missing a year and a half ago. Recall that the male disappeared without a trace after a heavy fight with a relative. The tiger reigned supreme for about 5 years, until the younger tiger Jack appeared in 2020. The owner began to appear in sight less and less often, apparently avoiding meetings with his opponent. The last time Glasses got into the lens of a camera trap was in 2021. The tiger looked very shabby. He limped badly, and his nose lobe was literally cut in half, probably in a fight with a congener. Glasses slept for a long time at the top of the hill, and then disappeared. Then experts decided that the tiger had died. Risen from the dead, Glasses in 2022. Experts were pleasantly surprised by such a meeting. Now the tiger is more than 13 years old. A difficult life pretty much battered the animal, but experts hope that the predator does not intend to give up, and this meeting is not the last. All this time, Glasses still came to his former habitat, but when he smelled his opponent, he was forced to go back. In turn, Jack was recently ousted by a male named Martin. Perhaps that's why Ochkarik returned to check the situation, the press service of the Amur Tiger Center said. Experts will continue to monitor the life of Glasses. Nevertheless, that marked the final occasion on which Ochkarik was observed. Following a distinguished existence as the sovereign of the Taiga, Ochkarik ultimately succumbed to the younger competitors, the tigers Jack and Martin. His legacy will endure for many years, as instances of tigers killing huge male brown bears are not so common. In 2023, a new screenshot surfaced from an animal enthusiast, who contacted Batalov, who once more confirmed the account. But he also conveys news about the definitive departure of Ochkarik. Here in this footage we can see the new lords of the reserve, namely the tiger Jack and the tiger Martin. Previously, Jack had displaced Ochkarik from his territory, but now Martin began to displace Jack. As of 2024, the account presented by Batalov has been consolidated and has been referenced again in a recent news article. Let us delve into it. And here is another tigress. She was named Rochelle in honor of one of the tourists who came to Derman from distant Europe. This predator raised 3 tiger cubs at once. A huge robber bear named Chlamid greatly interfered with her in this. If Rachel gets a beast for his kittens, he will come and brazenly take the prey. Then the tigress began to growl in a special way. She called for help from the father of her cubs, a tiger named Glasses. He came to the rescue and dealt harshly with the offender. He simply devoured him. After all, Glasses is a seasoned male. As a child in an Altai village, and then as a young man in the Siberian city of Novokuznetsk, Batalov was raving about the animal world. When it was time to choose a university, there was no doubt. Studying was easy. After all, I made the choice to my liking. When classmates wrote diplomas from books about the habits of animals, Batalov used practical experience in the Far East to understand how animals communicate with each other using smells. Marks. Not a diploma, but almost a dissertation. So immediately after graduating from the university, the Siberian boy was invited to work in Permy, no less than a senior hunting guide in the Regional Hunting Trust. 8 huge hunting farms in subordination. Alexander Batalov was awarded the honorary title of Honored Hunting Specialist of the Khabarovsk territory. In 2010, he co-authored a book about our tabby cats. The foreword to it was written by Vladimir Vladimirovich Putin himself. It was presented to all the heads of 13 states, who then took part in the first Tiger Summit in Russia. As we conclude this video, I hope you have found it both enjoyable and informative, learning intriguing facts about bears and tigers. May Amba bring joy to each and every one of you.